Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, so Friday, garbage day. They snagged my internet line, so it was out for a hot minute, but that's okay. I took it as a good sign that I just needed to get back to nature. So that's what I did. I played in the dirt, got some things cleaned up, and whatever else, and mm, um, got things like all springed up. Windows are open today. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's getting hot though. I think I'm gonna have to start closing it probably around 10 o'clock in the morning, closing the windows up. But that's cool. Having fun, shaking things up. Springtime. Chickens and ducks are doing amazing. The foulings are gloriously growing. Their wings are coming in. Gonna have to clip them. Yeah, I've just been doing me. Also, like, there's kind of like this weirdness happening on the internet. Like, it's like accusing people of being tired and lazy. Like, if you're tired and lazy, it's your body telling you that you need to get into your DMT. So, when you're meditating, that's like where you're supposed to be, is right before you fall asleep. Right there, right on the precipice of falling over that edge, and you're standing there with the wind coming up on you, and you just want to fall into it, but you stay on that cliff. You stay on the edge. Okay? You don't be the fool and fall over. You stand on the cliff and you realize what's happening rather than falling into sleep. This is where the whole expression awake, and came from. Is because you are standing on the precipice of not falling asleep. That's when your DMT gets released. We have that naturally. We don't need mushrooms. Some people do, but if you can get that sleep vibe going, that's your right on that precipice is going to be your activation for your DMT. So the people that are like, if you're feeling lazy and tired, step into it. Okay, your spirit's tapping you on the shoulder and be like, can you come visit for a second? We got something to tell you. Go visit, and then the tiredness goes away. Ta-da! So, if you're feeling like, try to hold it. Hold the DMT activation and see what's happening, okay? So many people are out there just being weird, telling you to fight everything. Fight nature, fight this, fight that, fight each other, fight that team, fight this team, fight, 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 fight. Some things you don't need to fight. Some things you just need to sit with and be okay with, especially if they're happening directly to you. Okay, so if somebody's asking you to join one team or the other, refrain. If someone's telling you that, like, you should really hate this group of people, see why. Why? Is there a legitimate reason? Are they causing a lot of harm? Just ask. Go into meditation about it. That's what awaken means. Standing on the precipice and activating your DMT. I might be considered I don't know, a Captain Obvious for stating this, but I feel like this needs to be stated. Because I'm getting all these people like, if you feel like you're unproductive, sometimes people need downtime. Sometimes it's okay to process. Sometimes it's okay to take a pause. Like, if you're getting somebody behind you like they're a slave driver, maybe don't pay attention to that person, because you need to process. You need your own downtime, however long that takes for you. Don't let somebody put time stamps on your life. You need to do what you need to do to get through it. And as long as you're doing the work, as long as you're saying, okay, like this week, I got so much random weird stuff done. Just random weird stuff. And I didn't really sorry, I have you in the shade because the sun is so bright today. I can't find a really good spot, and the spot that I have like in my room right now is too dark. Scorpio, still am. It's either too light or too dark. So when we're trying to understand our own lives and people are telling us, well, you're supposed to be ashamed of this and you're supposed to be embarrassed about that and you're supposed to be this and this and this and this. Don't. We're like, okay, I just need to accept the way it is right freaking now. right freaking now. If I feel uncomfortable with it, I can change that. If someone else feels uncomfortable with it, they're going to have to fucking hold their jet skis because they have no control over my life, only their own. So this whole like, you know, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you being like that? Why don't you think like this? That's cool and all. You can ask those questions, but it doesn't mean that like you have to automatically shift your perspective in their direction. This is where the anti-cult thing in me comes out heave ho. Like, don't fucking black magic me. Nah. My mind is my own. And if you don't like that, that's not my problem. I'm so tired of people saying like, well, if you would just adjust this, everything would be okay for you. I've adjusted a significant amounts of aspects of myself and not gotten good results with it. So I'm going to continue on this path of like trying to find me and being successful in that. Then starting to like, it's like that detox from that whatever cortisol, adrenaline, and then the serotonin and the oxytocin and the endorphins and all that good gravy. You need to take some time. You need to take some time to detox from that. I think that's one of the most important things that's going to keep us from getting into weird cult systems, thus starting an actual third world war. I think if we can keep ourselves out of a cult mentality and off that addictive substance that our body naturally produces when people come in with their blood and black magic and cause trauma and then tell us, look, if you just do this one thing, it's all going to be okay. Just this one thing. If you just pick this one thing, all those yummy chemicals are going to flood your system. Just choose this one thing. And then it'll all be okay. And then they're going to come back in and like fester more like weird ideas and traumas saying, okay, well, you're not okay for being like this. But if you just sit down and like with your tiredness, why are you so tired? There must be something really wrong with you. No, maybe you need to step into your DMT. Maybe you're on the verge of tiredness all the time because your spirit is begging to connect with you. And if you just step into that DMT activation, your energy might return because you're getting the information that your body is requiring to function and to move forward in an enlightened and intuitive manner. So when people are like, why don't you just take more caffeine? Why don't you just get on this medication? Why don't you just give yourself this medical label and then get medical treatment for it? Now, some people need to do that. That's fine. I totally understand that. I'm not dogging you. But I'm not going to pigeonhole that that's the only way to do things. It's not the only way to go about life. It just isn't. Period. The end. If you need to hop on the white coat camp, that's totally up to you. Just remember what you're walking into and that you need to self-advocate as well. Don't let them walk all over you. Do you understand? Okay. So that's my rant about DMT and being like a little sleepy and wanting to take a nap. Don't take a nap. Sit there, sun gaze. You know, that whole thing. That will piss off the Nazi like that will piss them off royally. So sun gazing. Let's just call it that and leave it there. Okay? And do it cautiously. NASA did do a study on it. Maybe it's still on their website. I don't know. I read it years ago. So NASA didn't always used to be so horrible. So just remember that. If you're running into like pitfalls continuously, yes, there might be something wrong with your health, but there could be just in asking, okay, can we just explore all the aspects of this rather than pigeonholing it into one thing that Pluto and Aquarius is all about that. Like, we're expanding all the things all the time. And with a pure white heart, I think a lot of people get this misconception that like this might be a toxic thing or the age of information or the age of electronics, because that's kind of what Aquarius rules, is the electrodes, right? That, like, if we step in the shadow side of that. So how do we not do that? We get ourselves, like, detoxed and off the, cortisol, adrenaline, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin, and there's another one I can... that chemical cocktail that we are very much addicted to, of particular narratives that keep us stuck and in trauma. Trauma bond, to bind again, religion. So when we can understand how that operates and how that systematically functions in our bodies on a real life basis, in our Cristo fluid, in our spinal fluid, which floods our system, tells our body how to breathe, how to regulate its blood pressure, and it's receiving messages as well through that spinal cord. It's receiving, putting out, and then it's also able to create, in the olive mode, some peace and tranquility within yourself. It is overrideable, but if you don't understand what's happening to you, you're never going to understand how to override it. So this is why they tell you to deal with your triggers. If you're being, like, emotionally manipulated by somebody, they will trigger you. They will come to your whatever it is and just be like, hey, did you want to step into that trigger? Did you want to get pissed off? Did you want to be irate? Did you want to do this for the rest of your life? And cause a lot of stress and that, hormone that causes a lot of dis-ease and uncomfortableness, and to the extent where, not just early death, but like painful death happens. And you can choose to say no to that. It doesn't matter what the situation is. And people have this weird thing about karmic connections and soulmates and that twin flame thing. Twin flames is bursting into two flames. It's not you coming together with your twin flame. It's separation. We have that totally wrong. And so we get this weird narrative that it has to be that way. And that's not true at all. Your karmics and your soulmates and your whatevers are coming in to teach you something. And you get to choose on how to move forward with that. So whatever best serves you. If it's not serving you, let it go. Get into that meditation again. This is why they probably don't teach it so much. It's because it gives you that authenticity. It gives you that spark. It gives you your sovereignty, your flame back. And then you have to act upon it, right? You have to say, look, this is really enticing, but this never has a positive outcome for me. So I'm going to take my resources and my attention and whatever else that I have going for me and ride it in a different direction, because that's what's best for me. That's what's working out for me. That's what's helping me function in the world. And it might not, my functioning in the world might not be up to everybody else's functioning in the world, but you know what? That's kind of okay. Because at the end of the day, I lay down with myself. In the morning, I wake up to myself. So I need to be okay in my own body, not in anybody else's. Okay, if somebody's not like backing me on that, they don't need to back me, but they also have no right or privilege to engage. They just don't. They don't have that right. And we need to stop thinking that, like, this weird victim narrative of like, well, because you hurt my feelings, now you owe me, and now it's going to be like this. That's a toxic narrative. That's not healthy. That's not going to bring you any peace or sovereignty. It might feel good for all of 5 seconds, but that person is not going to, you're eventually going to keep swapping roles. I read this, like, I don't know, I was listening to, I think it was Genetically Modified Skeptic, I think it was. And he was reading from the Satan book. And it was talking about, like, you know, there's that battle between God and the devil. Or God and Satan. So if Satan were to overpower and whatever else, he would become God, and God would become Satan. And it would just create this vicious pattern. And the whole idea is to knock that off, to stop that. And now, if you understand the brain the way that I've explained it to you in previous videos, you know that Satan Satan is Saturn, first of all. So it used to be a deity. A demon, a deity, same thing. So, and you have like those horns in your brain that are like connected to your amygdalas. Now, one is Satan and one is Lucifer. They're two separate beings. I know. The bringer of dawn. Well, okay, so Lucifer is light bearer, but the original translation for a word that you don't repeat is bringer of dawn. Was the bringer of dawn for Lucifer. And then you have Satan, Saturn, the planet, the confinement, the dirt, the ultimate pentacle, okay? The stuff that the Earth's core is basically made out of, and those tectonic plates and whatever else. That's Capricorn, Satan, Saturn energy. Trigonometry? I don't know. So we're talking about bringing Earth, the material world, bring our dawn, you know, the thing that's out in the ether. We're talking about bridging that gap. Rather than parting the Red Seas, we're going to bridge them and bring them together into one. Now, this is very picturesque in some, especially Islamic texts. And I'm like, you guys aren't connecting any dots over there? What's going on? But anyway, so this is all to come together. There's two rams that are like facing each other in the brain. In the brain, there's two rams facing each other, and it's that horn being that's coming down. Hippocampus, I think, is what it is. So the technical term is a hippocampus, and then that holds the amygdalas. Okay. Now, how do you bring two warring horned creatures together, right? How do you tame them and get them to stop smashing skulls so much and bring them to a peace of where they're just, you know, where they just, you ever get that really good mind connection with somebody or an animal, a creature of some sort? You ever get that really good mind connect, and you just, almost by default, I want to say, almost by intuitive nothingness that steps in, and you just, your foreheads just touch. You just touch. Cats are really good at this. Sophie likes to do this. She likes to boop my nose, and then we'll touch foreheads. It's that intuitive nature that's happening also on the inside of you, that you're connecting those two hemispheres together. And so that's kind of the goal of that integration and that pattern of continued evolution when you are integrating those parts of yourself. There's lots of parts. This isn't the end all, guys. It's not even close. But bridging those Red Seas, if you will, bridging that gap and bringing them together in a peaceful manner is kind of the ultimate goal. And if you can detox your Christo system from those trauma-inducing chemicals, you can start to bring those pieces of yourself back together. So detoxing, I'm probably going to have to do like some videos on detoxing. Where are we at? 18, 19? I can't tell. It started just like overwhelming. Okay. So again, one step in that, one little teeny tiny drop in the bucket is stepping into that tiredness and into that like about to fall asleepness. Now, not everybody has a blessed experience in life to be able to do that. But how about we do this? Because everybody sleeps, okay? Everybody goes to sleep and everybody wakes up. Those few minutes before you go to sleep, hold them sacred. Ask for what you want. Ask for anything. Ask a question that you just need an answer for. And if you need to start trusting it, ask it like, hey, what's your favorite color? Hey, what's your blah, 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 blah. And I see what it says. See what it says. See where your dreams take you. Be like, what's it look over here? What's it feel like to do this? All these different things you can ask it right before you go to sleep. When I say it, I'm like talking about the seed of God in your head. And then when you wake up, a good way to do life in general, good way to do life is say, okay, this is what kind of day I want. How can I set myself up for success? I want to do this today. I want to do that today. Help me do that today. Help me make this happen today. And you're just talking to yourself because God's right here and so is the devil. So if you're at war inside here, just ask yourself, hey, how do we come to a peace? How do we come to a mutual understanding where everybody is getting what they need for the highest good of all? How do we do this? When you ask yourself a question, you have to answer. You can see why so many people were, especially women, were thrown in the loony bin for trying to do this for themselves when they had all this time at home to do nothing but interact with children who naturally bring out the child in you, the curiousness that you can't genuinely interact with a child and not feel total innocence and wonderment. You can't. It's impossible. It's freaking impossible. So, I mean, unless like, they want to play swords or something, but that's signifying that they're starting that battle, right? They're starting that war within. And it happens to everybody. I'm not shaming parents here. Last thing I'm going to do on the internet is shame parents, and I am one. But that happens instinctively because the way society is set up. The rules, the laws, the regulations, all the regales, the religions, whatever, they're all set up to start that internal war. Because if you were at peace with yourself, you'd be able to look out over things and be like, we could be doing this way better. And then start implementing those ideas in your own life, and thus they radiate out. And then those big bad things that we just can't obtain would lose control. Dun, dun, dun. You can see why this is starting to piss people off. So, keeping yourself well-balanced, educated, and keeping yourself in an open mindset when you are moving forward and you're like, why do I feel this way? Step into it. Fine, I'll feel this way for a while. What are we doing here? And then see where it takes you. But remember that when you're feeling tired and just like, oh my gosh, I can't keep my eyes open, hold that. Step into it, but hold right before you step off that cliff and see what your spirit wants to tell you. See what's going on up there. Okay? Okay. I think I'm going to do some readings today once I get myself set up for that and whatever else. But yeah, I'm going to go water some babies and check on some foulings, and everybody's still in kind of snuggle mode because it's cool at night, which I still keep the windows open, but during the day it's really starting to heat up. So, okay. All right. I think that's it. I can't seem to remember anything else. If I do, I'll let you know later. Okay. Until next time, keep your flame.